Good morning, Rabbi. Leeylu nishmas imi mirosi bas Mordechai. Sponsored by Aliza and Avi Sherman on the occasion of Yutas Adar, in recognition and of and thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the ultimate healer, for what he has done on our behalf. May you bring a refua shlema l'chol Yisrael. Amen. By Yehuda Hulkower, leeylu nishmas, our grandparents whose yahrzeits are this week. Rabbi Moshe Hulkower, Rabbi Moshe ben Mordechai Zev, Yudzayin Adar. Mr. Jack Salzberg, Yisrael ben Yehuda Menachem, Yutes Adar. Sidi Freund, Charna, Beila Bas, Yitzchak Yehuda Beis Adar. The Shoma should have an aliyah. By Avrohom Nussbaum, leeylu nishmas, his cousin, who was lifted suddenly at the age of 34. Barak Nachman ben Rafal, whose yahrzeit is on Yutes of Adar. Shoma should have an aliyah. We have a cartoon by Mordechai Sapaznik. It's a good thing Nachman is not here. So I didn't get his resume yet. Yes, time for Belly's shir, 7:15 in the morning. I hope people get up a few minutes before that. Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Levi Friedman's going to be walking in any minute. Now you know why. He got the cartoon. What else do we have here? This email is from Moshe Nussbaum. It happens to be, this is probably the only time I was walking out the door and I looked at my phone and I saw this email. I liked it. I went back home, printed it, and came a couple minutes late. Nothing special. It just encapsulates a lot of cool stuff here. Avram Moshe Nussbaum. What did he say? Somebody translate. He's in one of those newsdays. What's going on? Go sit next to him, maybe. Do me a favor. Today's fire. Look at him. Nah, it's not appropriate. It's a non-kosher phone, whatever. Not. Dear Belly, I just wanted to say tremendous thank you for all your efforts in producing such an invigorating, insightful, and geschmack shir. Also, a huge shout out to the whole MDY team for putting it all together and making the shir the beautiful and unique shir that it is. I've been doing the daf on and off for the last 10 years, more off than on. And Baruch Hashem, since I found your shir on Torah anytime in the middle of Masechet Shabbos, I haven't missed a day. Once in a while, I'm able to join the Zoom on Matzah Shabbos, and I hope to come by in person one day. I guess he's from Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Moshe Nussbaum. I'm a big believer that all the charts, sponsors, emails, merch, etc., and even the after shir Shmooze. You hear this, Yaakov? Let me repeat it for you. The sponsors, the emails, the merch. You got an issue with it? Listen what he says here. Even the after shir Shmooze adds so much to the shir. It's like my achona and chazor of shir. Also, the achtos and the chesed that is generated by the chevra of the shir is a true inspiration and internalization of the Mishnah and Avos, which you quoted on Daf Tzadik Tes. V'loi ha-medrash hua ikar el ha-maisa. You don't just learn, you have to do. Hashem should give you continued koyach to share His Torah with many, many more Yidden, much appreciated. Some people appreciate it, Yaakov. Avram Moshe Nussbaum. You want to sit here, you're going to get it. All right. Oh, we have another minute. Which one should I read here?
Maybe you read the emails after we finish the Daf.
It's terrible idea. You and Yaakov. That's it. I'm going to start picking on you now. Eliezer Baton. Hi, Rebelli. My name is Eliezer Baton, and I'm one of your sponsorship email listeners for over a year. But Hashem gave me Siyat Shmaya, and on the famous Kutach Day, I listened to the full shir. Apparently, I didn't have the Siyat Shmaya on the Bris Milah day. Nachman didn't either, because he's looking like, what's the peanut? What's going on here? That I only know about thanks to your twin brother, or whoever he is. I guess he's talking about you, Jonathan. My second cousin, once removed. I give it Daf Yomi shir myself. This guy's not a joke. It's Magichir. Eliezer Botton. How do you pronounce that? It's not Beton. There's no I in there. Boton. I'll give the Daf Yomi, listen to your emails and your introduction to Daf so I can give the Daf with a similar attitude and excitement. Sometimes I listen to the full shir. I wish you much hatzlacha in all that you do, especially in keeping up the koilel, which is probably the number one reason for your great success. Eliezer Baton. Shkoyach. All right. Boy side today is Daf Kuf Beis. And we got all the way to the top of Daf Kuf Beis Amud Aleph. Today is exactly 1 year from the day, Rabbi says stand up, a Gastenstadt. Here comes Levi Friedman. Levi, is this the cartoon that you're familiar with? 7:15, that's when you snooze it? Or every day you're on a call to Hadassah, delivering a baby or something, yeah? I once made fun of him. I once called him out that he came late and immediately sent me a picture of him that morning delivering a baby. So I don't do it anymore, just once in a while. All right, so today's a year. Yeah, today's exactly a year since we had to leave the Beis Medrash. It was a very, very sad day. If you recall, we're going strong and people every day were lining up. We had taxis and Fischl came from this one and Uncle Joey and literally every day a taxi or two taxis from Yerushalayim would come. Beis Medrash was jam-packed with over 100 people a day. It's geschmack, and all of a sudden it all came to a screeching halt. We sent everybody home. I went to my dining room. Pretty depressing times. It's exactly a year, and Baruch Hashem, the Beis Medrash is filling up slowly but surely. We still have some room for more people. And Beis Hashem, it should continue like this. So, as a recap of yesterday, we have to do a little bit of chazara. Today's Daf Kuf Beis. If we start from the top of the Amud, Daf Kuf Aleph Amud Beis, all the way in the top words even, and we're going to get back to it. That's Shittas Rabbi Yochanan that says that if you leave your house, you go from one place to another place, Shinui Makaim, somebody's in the hospital over there, I don't know who it is, but Shalom Aleichem, Rafur Shleima, whoever you are. Who's that? Barry Schleifer? He himself is in the hospital? Oh, okay. You should have Rafur Shleima or somebody else. Maybe he's just visiting you. I see him with the Gemara and everything. How you doing, Barry? Rafur Shleima. What? Oh, he does have a gown on. Okay. Rafur Shleima, Barry. The Olam will have you in mind. All right, so Rabbi Yochanan is of the opinion if you leave to another place, ein tzarich levarich. You don't have to make another bracha. Shinei makom is not a deciding factor on another bracha. You made a bracha over here, you can continue to go to another place, to Shalom Zacher, to Kiddush, come back home, you don't have to make another bracha. Rav Chisda says that you do have to make, the brisa, we brought a brisa, kasher and Rabbi you do have to make a bracha and shinui makom. Rav Chisda explains that this whole shinui makom business is only when you make a bar nefashos afterwards. Anything else, okay, you could always have charata and do a chart the next day, especially that we're going to do it again. If you're eating shivas aminim, according to the Rashbam, according to everybody, if you're eating challah, you're eating bread, you have to make a birkas hamazon. But according to Rashbam, even Shivas Haminim, which requires a bracha mein shalosh, which also requires you to come back, you have to make a U-turn eventually. So let's say if you leave your house after you ate a bite of bread, according to everybody, or you took a little bit of a pomegranate and you walk out, so now you have to bench at home. You have to make that U-turn. So if you have to bench at home, you're still in the middle of your meal. So you don't have to make another bracha. This U-turn makes it you're part of the meal. But if you just had a drink of water, or you ate an apple, fruit that doesn't require mein shalosh, so you're not mechuyev al pi halacha to come back. So now you just stopped your meal. When you went to the Shalom Zacher, you finished your meal. So you have to make another bracha. That's Rav Chisda. So we had a kasha on Rav Chisda, what's going on here? We brought another brisa that says that if you leave your house and you leave a zaken and chayla, remember the guy on the all-you-can-eat buffet, you leave one of your buddies there, so it's as if this table is still open, then you don't have to make a bracha. Mashma, that if you don't leave an old person there, if you close your table and you go, you do have to make another bracha. And that's a kasha on Rav Chisda. Because Rav Chisda said, you don't need to leave anybody here. As long as you have to make a U-turn, you don't have to make another bracha. But that's not what it says in the brisa. The brisa says, if you have to make a U-turn, plus you left a person at the table, then you don't have to make a bracha. Why do you need a person at the table? As long as you yourself have to come back, you don't have to make a bracha according to Rav Chisda. So the top word on Daf Beis Amud Aleph is Man Tana Kirois Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, it's not a kasha on Rav Chisda because Rav Chisda goes with someone else. That brayso that we just brought, they have to leave somebody there. That's Rabbi Yehuda. It does. I'm telling you, Ma'aser Shaya. I know. I didn't do it with myself. I'm not like that. But the yeshiva guys, I'm serious. Yeshiva guys, typical. Who has time for this? Yeshiva guys in the mirror. They finally scratched together a couple of shekel. His expense is like 200 shekel a person over there, right? Something like that. What? It's 300 shekel a person.
Especially after they raised the price.
All right. And then they come there, they fabrang, they take it easy, they want to get the 300 shekel worth. So they go out, they daven mincha, they leave one guy at the table, two guys, the waiter says, where's everybody? Yeah, this halacha the bakim. And they have to daven. Sometimes they have to daven shachris. It's like an all-nighter. They come back, whatever. Sure.
Spoke to someone there, they said the record holder is actually seminary girls.
Really? Eitan Eric has to set the record straight. It's not the yeshiva guys that are a problem, it's the seminary girls. I hear. I don't know. Listen, I have a lot of seminary girls for Shabbosim, and they do damage by you. Okay. Listen, we don't serve that much, maybe. Okay. Not the Talmud Dvar girls. The Sanya. Okay. Rabbi, so we have a lot of time, but not that much time. Let's talk when we get Amud Beis. The Sanya Chaverim Shahayu Misubim Va'akru Ragleim. What's this machlokes? And Rav Chisda, we're going to see, is going to pick a good team. He's not like, Stam Afarvar Fene Rav Chisda. He's going to go with the majority, with Chachamim. The Sanya Chaverim Shahayu Misubim. You have Chaverim, these yeshiva guys, the seminary girls, Shahayu Misubim Va'akru Ragleim, Leilach Lebeis HaKnesses, Lebeis HaMedrash. They had to go, you have to daven. That's Pashut. Or Lebeis HaMedrash, or go Steig. Second Seder, come back a couple hours later. Bracha l'mafreya is referring to the bracha achroina. It's called the mafreya because it's going on what you ate retroactive, the food that you ate already. So you don't have to make a bracha achroina. So the halacha is like Rav Chisda basically. We're going to see in a second. Now, let's just skip to the Rashbam. You see where it says Rashbam? That's Reb Shmuel, Rashi's grandchild. So you go 11 lines down, and Rashbam says like this: Kol makom she'omer Reb Yehuda bameh dvar mamurim lachlik. He's coming to argue. A masai, but if he says a masai when lefarish divrei chacham ba. Okay, so now that we know this yesod, it says like this: Omer Reb Yehuda bameh dvar mamurim. He's coming to argue. Who's he arguing against? There must be someone invisible that he's arguing against. And he's saying...
And in the new place they went through that Mekaracha Rishona though? It just says you don't need the mafreya.
No, it says both over here. It says both. Ein tu'un bracha mafreya, u'kshem chayzrim ein tu'un bracha.
So the question is when they're there in the new place, they need a bracha Rishona.
For anything they eat there, you mean? Yeah. I think so. Why not? I'm saying even any meal that you eat, that's silchas brachas. I'm not going to get into it, but let's say you're eating here, and you make a shahakal on water, and all of a sudden they bring you another shahakal, you probably have to make another bracha. You didn't know about it. Mezainis, why not? But if you didn't know about it, you didn't think about it, whatever the halachas are. Okay. Bizman shenichu shal mixas chaverim. It's because he left over some of his buddies. But he didn't leave over anybody. He'd be required, says Rabbi Yehuda. Let me explain. It's talking about he left people over. He left somebody there on the table. And that's why so, but if he didn't leave anybody, then that's sorry. Did I skip? It's because you didn't leave anybody. So this is Rabbi Yehuda who says that you need friends, you have to leave friends behind. He's arguing on somebody, and that somebody are a lot of somebodies. They're called Chachamim. And Chachamim say you don't need to leave anybody. So Rav Chisda is very good. Rav Chisda says you don't need to leave anybody on Amud Beis. He goes like Chachamim. This brisa that we had yesterday that says you left somebody, a zaken, a chayla, or chaveirim, chaver, whatever it is, one person, old, not old, doesn't matter. You left one person there, then you don't have to make a bracha. That's Rabbi Yehuda. Okay. Now, let's jump for a second to the top of Kuf Aleph Amud Beis, just for a second, literally, or a couple seconds. You don't even have to go. I'll read it for you. For Daf Kuf Aleph Amud Aleph, the last words are that Rabbi Yochanan holds that if you're going to bring new wine, you don't have to make a bracha. And we mentioned yesterday, you do have to make a teva meita. You just don't have to make a bar paragofen. And then he says the top words on Kuf Aleph Amud Beis. Ve'echad shinoi makoim. And if you go to another place, ein tzarich levarach. You don't have to make a bracha if you go to another place. Meisvei. So we ask a bomb question. It says mufurish in the brisa shinoi makoim tzarich levarach. End the story. Tiyufta. It's a checkmate because the brisa says that if you change places, you must make another bracha. It's even brought down halacha over here. Okay, exactly what shinoi makom is not great. Now, ask the Gemara over here. Now going back to where we're holding. Where are we? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lines down. Elataima de bidvar matuim bracha lachreim b'mekayim kishem yotzim ein tunu bracha l'mafreg shem chayzim ein tunu bracha lachatchila. Av dvarim. Now we're talking about dvarim matuim bracha lachreim b'mekayim. This list. Anything that you need to return. You have to go back to where you originated from. You started at home, you ate some bread, you have to come back. According to Rashbam, you ate shivas haminim, you have to come back. But if it's water, if it's apples, everybody agrees, if you do a yitzia, you just go out, you have to make another bracha. According to everybody. Rabbi Yochanan on top of Kuf Aleph Amud Beis, he says, Echad Shini Makom, Ein Tzarech Levarach. Does he say about Shahakol? Does he say Mezainas? He doesn't say anything. He says, no matter what, if you leave your house, you don't have to make a bracha. If I'm drinking water, and I take a spatzir in the middle, I go outside, says Rabbi Yochanan, Ein Tzarech Levarach. He doesn't say, oh, I only meant a Mezainas, because you have to come back. I only meant Hamaitzi. He said it in all things. Over here we're saying that according to everybody, even according to Chachamim, if it's water, you have to come back. It's a bomb question on Rabbi Yochanan. Says the Gemara, who needs another bomb question? We already had checkmate yesterday. Why do you need a double checkmate? Top of Kuf Aleph Amud Beis, we had a bomb kasha from a brisa, a mafurish brisa against him. The Gemara in fact says, Tiyufta, the Rabbi Yochanan Tiyufta, twice. So checkmate, finished. Says the Gemara, nami tevet tiyufta. Explains the Rashbam, just in case you have some sort of answer to answer the checkmate. So I'll get you from another angle. This is a double whammy. Okay. But at the end of the day, Rabbi Yochanan can answer. I say water, apples, that you don't have to go back home. You also don't have to make a bracha. It's almost counterintuitive, no? It's like a little confusing. If it's a shahako, then you have to make a bracha again. But if it's a birkas hamazon, it's such a chashuv thing, you don't have to make another bracha. Why? Because you have to come back home. If you have to come back home, then you're still in the middle of your meal. If you're in the middle of your meal, you don't have to make another bracha. Yesterday, it said, Akur Agleim, what is it? Like 7 lines from the bottom of Kuf Aleph Amud Beis. It says, Akur Agleim, and the Gemara is medayik, that we're talking about serious food. This is an akira. That it's only because he had to go to a chasen and a kala that he's allowed to. It's like the dvar mitzvah. They were rushing out to go be misameh chasen and kala. Akur Agleim. So, says Rabbi Yochanan, I don't agree with that diuk. We're not talking about bread. We're talking about everything. We're talking about even a cup of water, a fruit. The Gemara wanted to say a tremendous chiddush according to Rabbi Yehuda. You have 2 things going here. You're talking about, let's say, bread. The Rabbi Yehuda holds, not only is bread not enough, if you ate bread and you went, and you have this whole idea that you're going to have to come back anyways, so maybe you don't have to make another bracha, that's not enough. You need to leave somebody behind. That's the chiddush I wanted to tell you. Okay. Says the Gemara, Tani Kavasei the Rav Chizda. Chaveirim shoyu mesubim l'shteis yayin. Now look at this. It says yayin. What's important about this word? Because before we were doing a diuk. It says akru ragleim. And akru ragleim probably means bread and wine and shivas aminim. But it doesn't say mefurish. Over here it says mefurish yayin. Yayin is one of the shivas aminim. Right over here, gefen. So we're talking about an important food that you have to come back and make a bracha achroina, according to those Rishonim. V'agru agleim v'chazru ein tzrichim levarech. So this is like Rav Chizda, that if you have something important, you have to come back and make a bracha. Like shivas haminim, like wine. You don't need to leave a friend behind. The fact that the halacha requires you to come back, that's enough of a reason to say that you're in one su'uda and you don't have to make another bracha. Yeah, and how are they going to do that? They'll have to explain it. Yes, exactly. I saw a fascinating halacha in the Shulchan Aruch. I thought it was fascinating. It's like a riddle almost. If a person is permitted to leave his house, he's in the middle of a meal, he has some sort of heter. I mean, la halacha, you really shouldn't go because major problems. Even if it's Birkas Hamazon and you might forget, and the lechatchila you should just bench. So let's say a guy leaves. He's permitted to leave. Chas and Kala there, they're dancing down the street. He has to run. He makes a run for it. He goes, comes back, and he doesn't have to make another bracha. What does he have to do? There's one thing that he has to do that I couldn't believe. Without a bracha. And I was thinking to myself, when I said I have to tell Menachem Atet to be quiet, not to say the thing. I knew it. Okay. Netilas Yodayim. Wow. Is that Mark who's that? Ben Schwartz. No way. Ben Schwartz is on Zoom. Can you believe it? Psh. Wow. All right. Because Zaken V'chayla is a typical thing that people leave behind because they can't come with you. They don't have the koyach. I have a better question. Why does it say Chaveirim? It's Chaver. It's one. But whatever. That's why it's all the same. I kind of stuck it in over there. It's like, it doesn't matter. Ein l'dayik. But you hear this halacha. When you come back home, you have to wash your hands without a bracha because maybe you touched something, you had a hesach hadas from nikir sayadayim. Interesting halacha. Tana Rabban. B'nei chabur shayu mesubin v'kiddush aleim hayom. Everybody's sitting around, and we had this halacha the other day. They were sitting, and all of a sudden it became Shabbos. It's Friday afternoon. They did an early meal, going in like this year on Purim. So we had three possibilities. Either you continue weiter, you ignore the whole thing, that was Shittas Rabbi Yossi, or Peiris Mapa, which was the Chumrah on Shittas Rabbi Yossi, because we paskin like Rabbi Yossi, or like Rabbi Yehuda, you have to be really machmer, you have to remove the entire table, bench, and make Kiddush. You have to make a huge hefsek. So, says the Gemara, B'nei chabur shoyim mesuvim v'kiddush aleim hayoyim, mevi'in loy kois shel yayin, v'oimer olav kiddushas hayoyim. So they bring him a cup of wine, he makes Kiddush. V'sheni, oimer olav birkas hamazon. And he uses a second cup of wine to make birkas hamazon. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion you make a hard stop. You stop the meal immediately. Make Kiddush right now. It's Friday night. You make Kiddush. You bench. And you want to eat afterwards. Great. Rabbi Yossi Oimer. It's much like a continuation of what we learned then. No big Chidushim here. Rabbi Yossi Oimer. Oichel v'hoylech ad shetechshach. You continue eating. Ignore the whole thing. Then when you are done, Gomru Kois Rishon Mevarchal Birkas Hamazon. First you bench, Vasheni Oimer Olav Kiddushas Hayoim. And then you make Kiddush. So first of all, we sponsored today's turning of the Daf Amud Beis, sponsored by Eli Dykman, Bracha v'Hatzlacha for all the MDY team in their everyday lives, for all the hard avodas HaKodesh they do. I'm not joking. You see every single day there's Zakar Satayv to the MDY team. Everybody realizes there's a whole team behind the scenes. There's a bunch of people. Be'emet. You don't like it? You have a Zakar Satayv to them? Say it to them. Mendy's part of the MDY team. Why? Because he learns with Yedidya Kramer before I do. And he gives him a stage, he said. Stage. He teaches him how to teach me. He teaches him what are the things I'm going to have difficulty with. And Bekitzer, without him, will be, and you see that the days that I don't learn what you did, it's different. It's different. No, so I had that child. I asked Didya, what do we do about all the days that he doesn't show up? The odd days. So I don't know if you guys could, I smell it, I could tell. Anyway, the Rashbam over here says, it's interesting. Listen what happens. He's making a Birkas HaMazon. You can't just leave now, Yosef. It's a whole Amud. If you didn't hear Mendy said he's leaving friends behind. It's okay, on today's daf you're allowed to. It's only according to one shita. That's not the shitas. The rabbim say you don't have to, according to reference. Anyway. Wow, you came with a sense of humor today. He left everything. A little zaken, a little chayla, a little chaveirim, everything. So first you do benching. What do you do with the cup? What do you do with the benching cup? You said benching, and then what? Do you drink it or not drink it? It's before Kiddush. You're not allowed to eat before Kiddush, right? But the Rashbam says you drink it. Other Rishonim says maybe not. Fine. Amai, ask the Gemara. According to Rabbi Yossi, only according to Rabbi Yossi the question is, this is an amazing sugya. He just missed it. When you go to Chasana, we do this over and over in our life. Most of us don't know why. Shever brachas, there's 2 cups of wine. They come, they bring 2, and they pour. Why 2? What's the 2? Big yisoid in halacha. The Gemara asks, why do we need 2 separate cups? Make a Birkas HaMazon on this cup. And then start saying, Yomi Pesachim, just keep on going. Why are you filling up another cup of wine? Anybody have a good reason? Not people that learned halacha yesterday. They're not going to tell, not you. You cannot make 2 kedushos, a kiddush, and another and Birkas HaMazon on one kais. My timer. You cannot make bundles out of mitzvahs. Why not? What does it mean? You can't show, and it can't look to other people as if these mitzvahs are a burden on you. It's too much. Let me just get over with it. I'll knock them both out. 2 birds with 1 stone. No, you have to take your time with mitzvahs. Where does that apply? Where does that apply? What do you mean? You mean Havdalah afterwards on the same kais? But you couldn't drink it. You couldn't.
Yeah, but still there's 2 mitzvahs on one kais.
Okay, so let's see Taisus over here. Taisus Divra Maskell She'ein Oimrim Shtei Kedushas. You see where the Gemara ends right around there. V'yesh noyagim b'chuppah metam zeh sheloi loimer shever brachas al kais Birkas HaMazon. You shouldn't make shever brachas on the cup of Birkas HaMazon. El mevim kais acher. And then he goes on afterwards. Skip like 5 lines. The Birkas HaMazon goyim the Birkas Nesuin. And then he writes, "Vay denagu likrois ksubim b'ntayim v'avefsik." Okay. So here's one example of chavilos of using the same cup of wine. There's a machlokes in the Rishonim about saita. Do we bring 2 saitas to the Beis Hamikdash at one time? So Taisus says no, you're not allowed to. The Rabbi says, yeah, you bring you on the side. So, but what does that have to do with us? Are you allowed to take out 2 sefer tires from the Aron Kodesh at the same time? According to Taisus, it will be very problematic. If you don't bring 2 saitas together, you can't bring 2 sefer tires. You have to go back to the Aron Kodesh, pull out another sefer tire. Even though we're not opening it up, according to the Rambam, make sure you don't open it up. So the Magen Avram says that according to this Taisvus, then you're not yaitza when you bring the 2 cups together next to each other at Shever Brachas. Shouldn't. According to Taisus, they're embarrassing each other. It's an embarrassment to the mitzvah. You have to make sure that the 2 cups are separate. I saw the Ksaf Sofer asks, could a person be yaitza mishal chmanas, because we were just talking about Purim, Shachman is giving a poor person Shachman and thinking in your head, I'm also going to be Mekayim mitzvahs matan slav yoidim. Yeah, it's a good meal for Shabbos. I'm doing 2 mitzvahs. It's chavilos. What other situations do we have that are chavilos? So some other achrons said, I don't understand this kasha. It means chavilos means to do 2 actions. Over here it was 2 machshavas. Of course you're allowed to do 2 machshavas. Fine. But here's the interesting one that I saw from the Ben Ish Chai. Very interesting. If a father tells his son, go bring this package to Yerushalayim, then the mother tells the son, go bring my shaitel to the shaitel lady. You shouldn't go in the same car at the same time. It's chavilos. Bimkaim 2 mitzvahs of kibbut avayim and knocking it out. Noam is not maskim. Not only is he not maskim, he went like this. I wish you saw that on camera. Look at.
Parents are just happy the kids are doing it.
No, so I saw people say, no. Men the honor own, man. But they do say that if it's important for the parents that should be done quickly, of course you should do it in one shot, whatever. But the point is to think about this idea of mitzvahs chavilos. It's not just by kiddush and avdallah and bikur hamazon. It might apply to other things as well. Don't try to knock out. Don't buy your lulav and esrei from the same lulav dealer. That's because you went like this, no. All right, no, you should.
Just get the esrei for me.
Just the esrei. We don't care about the lulav. Yeah. All right, fine. Weiter gegangen in Shas. Where are we, Yaakov? Delay.
No, not Dilai.
Vilay. Okay, very good. You're right. That's where we are. Vilay. What? You can't do chavilos. You can't do bundles. That is like 7 lines from the top. A guy walks into his house. What should he do? This is sugi and brachas. We all know what to do. First comes boyer pri hagafen. Why? Because that's more tader. We make boyer pri hagafen on Friday night. We drink wine occasionally. That comes first, a lot more often than tader b'sheni tader, right? Any bracha that comes first, whatever it is, comes first. Al yain is first. We had this in this Masechta. Why do we make on a candle? Because Motzei Shabbos is the first time there was a fire. Kosh Baruch Hu, Adam, remember that whole sugi. V'ala b'samim. Oh, this is very important. Why do we make a bracha on b'samim? Because we have a neshama yisera on Shabbos. And because the neshama yisera leaves, we make a bracha on b'samim to give us a little, like, that's fine. So, if there's no neshama yisera, there's no psalm. Then he says a mavdil ben kodesh l'chol ben or l'choshech, the whole avdallah ala kois, and this is done on a cup of wine. If he only has 1 cup, what do? And this is a halacha that not everybody's so makbid on, and that is to make hagafen on birkas hamazon. If you have a few people, you should try to make birkas hamazon on a cup of wine. I don't know why people are not so makbid on it. Right? You have you're makbid, Yaakov? No. You have 3 people, no wine. Some say 10. Those people that are not makbid, right? That's the terrace. And then when the 10, they forget, 10 everybody's makbid on. Okay, fine. And some people are makbid, like Yosef said, on 1 person, 3 or 4 cups of wine before, yeah. So what do? You have to make avdallah, but you only have 1 cup. So you're going to have Melava Malka coming up, and you're going to have to bench, you're going to need wine. So what do? You leave the wine for after Melava Malka, and then you make Mishal, you say all the brachas of avdallah. Kulam la'achrav. Now, here's the big problem. Listen to this. Why not? Oh, as Taisves you can't eat. As Taisves you can't eat. Says Taisves you could eat. Why? Because you only have 1 cup of wine. This cup of wine is so important that the halach that you can't eat is, by the way, to me it's a big chiddush, because my whole life I grew up that you can't drink even water before Havdalah. And it seems from the Shulchan Aruch that you could. I don't know, I have to speak to my father. This together with him not taking me to Kiddushim, it's getting out of hand. It's like, no Kiddush, you can't drink. What else? I was thinking about it. At the end of the day, I don't think I suffered that much. It teaches control. It teaches your shamayim. It's good. It's good. It's important. You don't lose from these things. I mean, he wasn't faking. To him, it was that's it. You can't drink. I'm sure it's a guy somewhere. It's a gra somewhere. Although the gra is, I think it is a gra, by the way, but usually it's mekel, maybe in this thing. Fine. Certainly the kiddush thing is kiddush mokum suda, with you need bread, that's the gra. This is a very interesting halacha. So even though you're not allowed to eat b'chlal before Havdalah, over here you're allowed to eat because you just don't have a choice. You don't have another cup of wine. What are you going to do? You're going to bench without a cup of wine? Taisi says it's impossible. You can't bench without a cup of wine. It's so important to bench with a cup of wine that you should make your Havdalah after the whole Malav Malka. Fine. Says the Gemara, don't bring a raya from that case. It's not a kasha. Ein lo shani. If you don't have, you don't have. Okay, so you're forced. Okay, so we have another case, says the Gemara. This year, Rabbi said this year, where Shabbos is Erev Yantiv. So what do? The Islay, and you have plenty of wine. Everybody goes into the Seder with plenty of wine, either because physically you're going to Yantiv, or because you need wine for the Dalet Kaisis. And as we said the other day, you must, the Taisis, Rishonim, either it's the 4 Kaisis that they're talking about, or they're just talking about plentiful of, there's so much food going on. But if you go like the Rishonim, we're talking about Dalet Kaisis, you have to sell everything you have. You have to sell yourself. You have to do anything you can in order, even if you're very poor and you don't have tamchui, you have to sell. Okay, so you have wine. What's yakneho? Here we go. We're starting already. We're going to see Rosh Tevis like you can't even believe. Yayin, Kiddush, Ner, Havdalah. Yayin, Boyer Priagofen, Kiddush, Lome Machim Kiddush. That's the only one I found. Ner and Havdalah. The Seder Havdalah. Yakneha. What was that? It's Gary again. Okay. So, what do you see here? You're using 1 cup of wine for Yakneha, which is Kiddush and Havdalah. Aren't these chavilos? Isn't this 2 mitzvahs right over here? It's 2 mitzvahs. So, real quickly, we have a few minutes here. You know what's missing from this? What's missing? There's no zman. What? No, it's separate. Kiddush is Mikaz Shabbos, Yom HaShishi, Vaychul Shemayim V'Aretz. That. This is Boyer Priya Gofen, on the one. What's missing here is psamim. Why no psamim? It's Matzah Shabbos. Why no psamim? So for that we have to jump into Taisis. Very, very important Taisis. Taisis de Ramaskel Rav Amar Yaknaha. So in middle Taisis, the kasha dem came as Yantav Amaylo Tekinu psamim. L'kach nira, says Taisis. Sorry, we'll start from the beginning of Taisis. Taisis says Pirish Rishbam. We could look in the Rishbam, but it's easier. It's all here. Pirish Rishbam, the tam psamim shum ibn neshama yisera. You just lost your extra neshama. You didn't lose anything. The only reason you do psamim on Motzei Shabbos is because you just lost the second neshama. But since you're going into Yantiv, you're not losing. Taisus asks a kasha, it's not true. So he says, the kachnir de Yantiv, lekin neshama yisera. So Taisus is of the opinion, there's no, very important shayla. Do you have a neshama yisera in Yantiv or not? Taisus says you don't have a neshama yisera. V'hacha ei masker psamim. So what's the reason you don't do psamim? Mishum de simchas yandav achila v'shtia moil kamay psamim. You hear this Rabbi say? The simcha of yantiv, you're so happy. You just lost your neshama. Somebody took your neshama out. But there's so much geschmack of food and drink that soothes you. You're okay. It's a lot better than that psamim that you barely smell, like 6 months old. That's the thing. Geschmack a bottle of wine and the meat, that gives you a simcha. I love this. This other people try to shtup a tam in here. No, this is the real reason. Now, what's very, very interesting is that on Shabbos, you don't need panim chadashos for Sheva Brachos. Why? Because of panim chadashos. Yeah, panim chadashos. So what about Yantif? According to Taisvis, there's no neshama yisera on Yantif, so you shouldn't need Panu Chadashas on Yantif, and you don't need. So one answer that I saw is based on the Zohar, that the Zohar says a person has a neshama, he has another like neshama, added neshama to him. Panim Chadashis, you need another person that wasn't at the Chasana. But on Shabbos, you don't need that when you do Sheva Brachos. So, the Zohar says that on Yontif, you have a little bit of a Neshama Yisrael, whatever that means. The Lumdim don't like that. In Lumdim, there's no such thing as little, like just like there's a woman is either she's pregnant or she's not. She's a little bit pregnant. There's no such little Neshama. What is a little? Like he's a small size, he's a pocket size Neshama. What does it mean exactly? Fine, whatever. That's what the Zohar says. He comes with a half a Neshama, sort of. Half of whatever. So, B'negeh to do Psalmim, you don't do Psalmim because you have a half a Neshama. And you don't need Panim Chadashis because you have a half a Neshama, but still it's not considered that you have a full Neshama Yisrael. It's sort of masking the Taisis, but it's jumping on both Chasanas. Fine. Zog the Gemara. Amri, Middeloi Omar Zman. If you notice, it doesn't say Shechiyanu here. There's no Shechiyanu. If it's the first night of Yontif, there should have been a Shechiyanu in this list. There's no Shechiyanu over here. I think somebody mentioned it. No, I might have mentioned it. No Zman here. It should say Yak Nahaz. There's no Zman. Miklal, the Shvishal Pesach Eskinon. We're talking about the 7th day of Pesach. The Kolmai, the Havele, Ochele, Vilesle. Like in the hotels, there's no food left. Finished. All the matzah. Now we're going to the box matzahs. We're doing the shvacha soda, the off-brand stuff. He doesn't have the wine. You know what I'm talking about? You ever been to a hotel? It's very shvach the last days. The scrambling for stuff. Sorry, we didn't have there's so many people. Whatever. Every year, same story. Vayantav Rishon. I already learned. I bring my own food. I should go to a real hotel. Okay. Now, just to point out, I think Taisus talks about it, Rashbam talks about it, that at the end of Yontif, there's also Shmini Atzis, but that's like a whole nother Yontif, and then for that you do bring food. Okay. Yontif Rishon. Again, Nachamal, this year, Yontif Rishon. That falls out on Motzei Shabbos. This lay, there is enough wine. V'amar Abaye yakzina. Oh, it's already 8 o'clock, but we have the things, not a problem. Oh no. This is not a good chart. Yeah, I missed something here. Okay. Yakneza. There's an error over here. This one has it. We'll just use this one. But this is Yaknehaz. But according to Abaya, it's Yakneza. Zman Avdallah. Or Avdallah Zman. The machlokes is the Shechiyanu comes before Avdallah or after Avdallah. Okay. We're very familiar with Yaknehaz. So once again, you're doing chavilis. Let's do this famous one. Yaknehaz. Yayin, Kiddush, Ner, Havdalah, Zman. The bottom line is you're doing Kiddush and Havdalah, and you have plenty of wine. Why are you using... You wanted to say you don't have enough wine because it's the end of Yontif, fine. But this is the first day of Yontif, and you're making a 1 cup of wine, 1 Kiddush cup, Kiddush and Havdalah. Says the Gemara, El Havdalah v'Kiddush Chodem Milsehi. It's 1 Kiddusha, that's why I do Havdalah and Kiddush on 1. Birkis HaMazon v'Kiddush, Shtrei, Mili, Ninu, that's the difference. You cannot make Birkis HaMazon and Kiddush on 1 cup of wine, but Havdalah and Kiddush you could. Have a wonderful day. Noam, you're in charge now. Shir Ma'alois, Ma'amakim K'Sicha Adinoi. Adinoi Shemo B'Korli, Tiyen Zav K'Shavais T'Kol T'Chon Adinoi. Shmo Adinoi Mi'amoy. Ben Schwartz, first of all, I have to say tremendous That's who you recruited? That's a great recruit. I love that recruit. That's a top recruit. Does that mean, Mark, that you're shooting with him? You were in contact with him? That's why you recruit?
They very little.
Wow. Yeah. I took it. Oh, they can't hear. Yeah, what are you saying, Eli? What? Am I familiar with?
Are you familiar with the government?
The crazy one?
No, not the crazy one.
Which one?
The Israeli one, but it's
Oh,
also
the Israeli. Oh, the Israeli. Yeah, I'm not familiar. Why?
but it's also crazy. It's also crazy.
I don't know anything about them. What about them?
Because I have a cousin in the Israeli government.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's your cousin?
Eli Dropper.
Oh, he's mamish a cousin, like a first cousin. So if I need pull, you could hook me up.
Can you get him out of the Yeshua at the 14 hotel?
Ellie wants to keep Yeshua in longer.
Yeah. Could you, Eli Trapper? Could you speak to your cousin? Eli Trapper, could you speak to your cousin to keep him in there? You did a good job. Here, look. I see. I have something interesting. Look at this. You see on the screen it says Naftali Horowitz. You see the picture that he has, Naftali Horowitz. It's like a picture of the Alps. I don't know. I thought it was similar to this. Hold on.
That looks like the canary.
No. Avada. Back in the day.
Don't you see the trailers hanging around over there?
This is pre-Tehillim. Pre-Tehillim. This is years ago. How long ago? 2014. So that was what? 7 years ago.
You know, I want to get the famous, but I can't.
You dropping hints here? You dropping hints? Shipment will be there. Amazon will be there together with the Slurpee in 26 hours.
Hey, Ellie.
Your dad what?
The best thing is that you're starting a night show next week. They put out an advertisement about it.
I saw it in Army magazine.